Politics of sound money. The volume, so I checked it at 8. So basically, I checked it at what would be 10 o'clock Eastern time, so 30 minutes after the market opened. And there was $38 million yesterday by that time, and today there was $33 million. So it's almost the same, a little bit behind. GameStop, though, was up by double or triple, so that's kind of cool. I mean, not double or triple AMC, double or triple what GameStop was doing yesterday. So, all right. Let me think. Let me think. Let's see if Jimmy Boy's got to say anything. You can listen to the haters on Twitter and Reddit, or you can see what I've been doing since 1979, trying to help the average Joe make some money. Wall Street bets, GME, Tesla, Palantir, AMC. Jim Cramer, go ahead and bet against me. If you know who I am, don't bother to read this. If you don't, maybe this piece can help you figure out what I do and who I aspire at all times to be. First, I never thought I would have to pen a piece like this after 50,000 real money columns, thousands of TV shows. Block, get out of here. Millions given away by my charitable trust and my Marad teachings and lectures via Action Alert Plus. But I have been around long enough to know that there are millions of new investors and traders who have conceptions, or I should say preconceptions, about me. So it's worth giving you my preamble. So before we even get into this, anyone on TV, anyone on CNBC, anyone on Fox News, anyone on MSNBC, anyone on CNN, they're all clown puppets. They all repeat the same words. Maybe they have a slightly different take, but they're literally shooting for the same agenda every time, every channel. It's unbelievable. So when he tries to come off as like, I don't know why people would just have like an instantly bad judgment of me. It's obvious why. Like, you're a freaking CIA spook like the rest of them. All right, lest it be misappropriated by others who seem to miss what I am trying to accomplish. Some will never get it. Others may say it's usual baseless defense by someone who truly is against the regular guy. Still, others might have a little more inkling to my work as described by the horse's mouth, and it pays to do so, rather than just continually block people on Twitter or be roughed up on Reddit's Wall Street Bets and other sites that really don't know much about me at all. So here goes. I started my investing while I lived in my car after getting robbed repeatedly and losing everything I had. I gave a little bit to Magellan Fund at Fidelity because I never told my parents I lived in my 1978 Ford Fairmont. So just because you came from the same background as like us, the people, whatever, even if it was true, doesn't mean you couldn't have sold out. So again, you're on CNBC, dude. Like, stop giving me the sob story. I didn't want to freak them out. I also didn't want to hear please to come back because, as you might be able to tell, I am not a quitter. I put the money in Fidelity, managed by the great Peter Lynch, really to get my father off my back because he thought I was doing well enough to save money. I was able to save money on my homeowner's insurance for sure, but at $173 a week in LA, there was little hope to be able to afford rent. As a reporter, I got sent upstate to cover everyone who died violently in California after covering when Jim Jones made his flock drink the Kool-Aid, writing what seemed like endless obituaries of those who were needlessly sacrificed. My editor loved that he was able to assign me the hardest and worst stories, and so off I went. The advantage, I was often given an expense account to stay at a hotel, and in candor, I met a terrific partner who would meet me at I-5 and get me some shelter. However, it was too late for my health. The newspaper I worked at, the LA Herald-Examiner, long since defunct, had health care coverage from Kaiser Permanente, which at the time didn't have a presence in North California. I had been drinking pretty heavily and ended as I was covering some farm worker homicides and checked into a clinic where a terrific doctor asked me how much I was drinking, and I was reluctant to tell him it was such an excess. So we got an alcoholic reporter, broke. So, I mean, he's hustling. I like it. But he couldn't be fooled because I had a gigantic stain on my lower abdomen, a telltale sign of a Judasized liver. Ooh, he's a real alcoholic. I never got it that bad. I was never going to give up until I had proven myself a truly dead-end job where I was going nowhere and I needed some health care badly. The doc said that I couldn't have another drink until yellow stain went away. 2 years later, I had a J&B, but had lost my enthusiasm for its taste as well as much every other liquor. And I got to work reporting at the American Lawyer, a new magazine. I knew one thing. I never wanted to be poor again, ever. I never wanted to have to borrow a shower. I never have to sleep on a couch, have to douse myself with powder, have to wear the same clothes over and over again, have to stay warm with Jack Daniels. So check that out right there. He literally says, I sold out because I just can't stand being broke. Like, I'm the guy who literally just keeps giving away my money, and no matter, like, I've been through all this crap he's talking about, or if not worse, probably way worse. I've been everywhere. I've lived out of cars. I've lived in 8 different states, all by myself, just chasing all the opportunities I could find where people are saying they were making money. Like, I've done it all. And so he's literally giving you the excuse of, like, he could never be broke again of why he sold out. You're going to see. So I applied to law school, got into Harvard with a full scholarship and a job working admissions department with a room and board. So how many dicks did he suck from going from some freaking LA news reporter that nobody freaking knows about or cares about, gets the worst jobs, to freaking full scholarship to Harvard? What the heck is that? Like, I didn't see that coming as the next sentence. Holy cow. I had a proclivity for stocks even before I got to law school and watched Bill Griffith and Sue Herrera, then Sue McMullen, on FNN religiously. I was sending out a stock newsletter to my parents with the stock of the week and ended up with such success that I put it on my answering machine. Yes, we had them back then, every Sunday night. A wealthy individual was trying to get me to write an article for him, and he couldn't get a hold of me, but started making a lot of money by listening to the back end of, I'm not here right now, but I think that you want to buy this week. And he ended up giving me a ton of money, which I promptly dropped 8% and wanted to make it back mowing his lawn and washing his dishes. Instead, he doubled down on me, and the rest really is history because I crushed it and kept crushing it. And when I got a job at Goldman Sachs in sales and trading, ultimately becoming what is now a private wealth advisor. After 4 truly great years, I decided to go off on my own, met a fabulous woman, Jim Cramer, who ran a trading desk, and she left to work with me, not before she urged me to sell everything before the '87 crash. I did. My trading sheets showed me some of Johnson & Johnson Get Report $90 puts, which made a fortune in themselves, and I never had trouble raising money again because I could show that position sheet for the crash. I had a terrific run, but I never forgot the guy in the car, the guy with nothing, who wanted to make something, anything, and could only really have a chance to do so in the stock market. It was the way to augment your paycheck, and I had seen so many wealthy people buy the right stocks that I became convinced that if you could help educate so-called regular people, whom I now call home gamers, they could make fortunes too. In 1991, I had helped start a magazine called Smart Money with my friend Steve Schwartz, now running Hearst, and James B. Stewart, who is the best reporter ever lived and had worked with me at American Lawyer. Fabulous people both. I was itching to do something different, though, and started fooling with the web to develop an online stock site called The Street. I charged money for it, and the thing took off anyway, and we ultimately came public in 1999. The offering was a disaster, but we survived. Unlike 330 companies who came public during that time, because we had a mission, and the mission was simple. We are going to educate people how to pick stocks, how to empower them, how to use the World Wide Web and E-Trade to make more money than they would otherwise. Okay, but this is back in the year 2000. If you still believe that, if you were still that kind of person, you wouldn't even be talking about stocks. Like, you would have been telling everyone to buy the GME options I made $1 million off of. Like, I listen to Jim Cramer. He actually knows, like, he seems to know what he's talking about. He seems very educated. Like, I bet you he knows how options work. I bet you he would understand all of that stuff I went over yesterday, and he'd be like, dang, this kid's smart. But you don't want to say, dang, this kid's smart, follow him. No, you want to tell you this kid's crazy, freaking buy Tesla. Like, no idea what this guy's thinking. I ultimately surrendered my hedge fund at the end of 2000, so basically he sold out. Giving it to my partner, not charging him. I don't know, it wasn't smart, but things like that. Okay, so you cashed out 50% and gave it to your partner? Don't even say you gave it to your partner. I don't like none of that, because if he's saying that he's got to research every week for a new stock and then he's leaving and he's taking his profits with him, but saying that he should get profits for every profit made from the other dude's 50%, even though that dude's got to research new stocks every single week and do his own work, like, what does that comment even mean? Who are these people? But I decided I was going to work full-time at the street because I like the mission and I didn't want to go under, which it most certainly would have. Not long after, I started a charitable trust and agreed to disclose all trades before I made them, giving a rationale for each. It wasn't made as a recommended list, but I was made fun of for instantly trying to do the impossible, which was to show people how pros manage money. Of course, pros hide everything because they make a bunch of embarrassing moves and they don't want them seen. Along the way, the product grew, and I had a terrific people like Stephanie Link work with me, as well as Scott Berman, and now the amazing Jeff Marks, who's the chief portfolio manager of Zev FEMA, has his fantastic, terrific number two. We run it together, and Jeff takes the lead. All right, let's see here. All right. Now I gave you all this information because now I find myself under almost daily assault from a host of places, and of course my mentions column on Twitter. Like, here's the thing, in a week from now, whether it's a week from now, a month from now, if I keep doing this, we start making money, all that stuff, like, we're gonna have 1 million viewers watching us, right? And so if Jim Cramer's serious about this, he's gonna watch this one day, he's gonna see my take on him, and if he wants to clear the record, like, he's gonna clear the record with me. If he says the things that I want, like, he doesn't say what I want him to say, but if he thinks the way that I think, if he's a reasonable, rational dude, if he wants to explain to the people, oh, I just missed a call if they want to call back. But if he wants to explain to the people what is really going on, GME, AMC, and he wants to answer my questions, then he can definitely earn redemption. I offer redemption to all who seek it. But depending on your power, your knowledge, your influence on this world, depends on what I'm going to require from you to be redeemed. I mean, if you're just a homeless dude that struggled through life this entire life, like, all you got to do is basically try to be better. Like, I don't know. But if you're a freaking Jim Cramer, you got to do a lot more than that. You got to convince 1 million people to buy $1 billion worth of GameStop, and then I'll forgive you. All right. I can't convince some of these people of anything that's really true. I speak to no hedge funds. I like some SPACs, but don't like others because some seem good and some seem bad. I have always, long before Wall Street Bets, wanted regular people to get rich. I have written 7 books saying the same. I had a radio show for 4 years dedicated to total call-in, help people with their portfolios. Most important, I swore I would never work for the rich people again. I would work for the guy in Ford Fairmont, living in the back seat with the gun, the hatchet, the Jack Daniels, Johnson's baby powder. Most important, I swore I would never work for rich people again. I would work for the guy in the Ford Fairmont, living in the back seat with the gun, the hatchet, the Jack Daniels, and Johnson's baby powder. How can you work at CNBC and say you'll never work for rich people again? You're the most censored man on, like, We know the news is fake. We're like 8 years past knowing the news is fake. Stop trying to act like you're not fake. Perhaps that's what makes me so angry and so unwilling to ignore most of the critics. Although I have given up engaging about 99% of them, spend most of my time blocking people or reporting them to Twitter for abuse or both. Am I a saint? Nah. I have made my share of mistakes. They all are they are all on tape these days, and if I try to defend them, it really doesn't matter. They can color me my whole career as far as many of these people, including the youngest ones, even as I have a body of work that would long since seem like to antecedent, I don't even know that word, to Wall Street bets without the scatological references and the obsession on just a few stocks instead of a lot of fresh ideas. I've documented how I got hung as a short seller, not unlike Melvin, but on a much smaller scale, and what it means to be bought in. I did it so people can learn from my mistakes. Again, no saint, but not the sinner that I am made out to be by any means. And again, maybe you weren't, and maybe you think yourself that you're just like small fries and you're just having fun and you're just making a living on CNBC. But like, you got to understand that there's a lot of people that are investing in all the companies that you freaking talk about on your TV when they should be investing in GameStop and AMC. So when you say that, again, no saint, but not the sinner that I am made out to be by any means, I mean, I feel like by all the means, we're still 100% on point. And that you gotta freaking prove that you aren't the sinner if you aren't. But you haven't proven that. So, for example, I have been a huge supporter of Chewy. So, I mean, I don't know if that's a reference to Ryan Cohen, since it went public, even when it was headquarters that Wall Street thought were subpar. If you ask management who had been most supportive and the biggest believer, they would almost certainly say me. That means the concept, which was created in part by Ryan Cohen, is one I wholeheartedly believe in, and I think he's a very smart guy. I had also been a huge believer in GameStop at one point and brought Paul Raines, the late CEO, a number of times to see how he was struggling to resuscitate the chain when digital downloading decimated his business. So when Cohen bought his stake in the company, I became quite excited and was very surprised that so many stayed short the darn thing. There were so many ways to reinvent the brick and mortar entity, the same way that Laura Alber did at Williams Sonoma. In an era of cryptocurrency where mining could make a fortune, I thought we might want to make the stores learning centers that sold cards specifically for mining. I thought it would be a brick and mortar information store about trading cards of tremendous value and perhaps sneakers, which can have insanely high trading value, pretty much anything including fungible, non-fungible tokens. Yes, I know they are verified by blockchain and need nothing brick and mortar, but why not be partnered with an online company that can help? Why not tie up with T-Mobile, the most forward-thinking of all phone companies, and turn your stores into T-Mobile outlets with gaming hardware as an add-on or feature for the fast Wi-Fi? There are so many things that can be done with those 5,000 stores, a decent balance sheet. That's why I could see this $10 stock going higher, maybe a double, triple even, if all worked out and and the shorts and ridiculous blind shorts didn't see the potential or only saw it as 5,000 stores dedicated to a box fresh refresh and then back to the old ways of doing things. Man, he got off GameStop real quick. Let's get back on track. That's when I left the scene and had to get emergency back surgery to regain my ability to walk. When I came to and had some time to rest, I woke up in the stock being at $350. That seemed so high that I angered everyone who had helped me at the hospital and said at $350 that people should take something off the table because they had hit a home run and didn't need a grand slam. I promptly fell right back into pain, killing hell, and since then have had to relearn how to walk. I went back too soon to work. Didn't want to take any time off because I wanted to do what was right and wanted to help people, including those in GameStop, but I quickly relapsed and found myself back to the hospital, determined this time to get it right, hence last week. So I'm instantly skeptical of anyone that tells me that they're always sick or they're always injured or like their life has just been absolutely the worst. Um, Especially when he says he went back to work too early when all he does is sit in a chair and walk around and point at a TV. Like, I mean, I've freaking done roofing 12 hours a day for 6 months straight, six days a week. Like, I mean, I've literally done the most imaginable, or like the hardest imaginable work you can think of. And I did it every day in a row, in a row, in a row, and I just kept going and going and going and going. And it was just like, it was the way that I earned my first redemption when I really went off the rail, right? And so when I hear somebody talk like this, I just gotta imagine either one, you're the most privileged, weak piece of crap ever, and walking literally hurts you, or two, like there's something wrong with your life and you've hurt your body and you've destroyed your body, and it probably is a reflection of like what you look on the inside as well. Um, All right, so since then, I have been under relentless antagonism by many anonymous people who believe I have sided with the mysterious hedge funds, even as I talk to none of them. I have contributed to the cabal that wants to keep people in their chain. I want regular investors to do worse. I don't want to expose how they can be hurt. I want them to lose and lose big. Along the way, I have chosen not to embrace cannabis, just grow generation, went from $16 to $65, and the whole way because of Constellation's tie-in. I have not been as focused on Palantir as much as perhaps I should because much of the business is secret, so I don't want to make up what I don't know. AMC, I applaud Adam Aaron for raising money to survive in an almost impossible position. Movie theaters can be a ground zero if not careful, but Adam will be. GameStop, to do things I think are necessary. It might require getting out of a bunch of leases, all of the unprofitable ones, which will cost a lot of money, and then perhaps reinventing and even becoming a place where all gamers can congregate by taking on the dark end of a mall. You want to be part of the gaming revolution, you need space, and you need tourneys, and the GameStop, I envision, could do that if you were able to raise some money at these levels. I don't know how much. That's up to Cohen to decide if he thinks going from a brick and mortar game store to a digitized entity like many I have described requires no more new money. Well, terrific. I don't see how, but he's the visionary. I am the analyst. Along the way, I have been a big vocal supporter of crypto and revealed I was a buyer between 12,000 and 15,000, but did take my cost basis out and I am letting it run. I have been pro-Tesla since November 2019 in the vicinity of $65. Perfect on either? Of course not, but pretty darn good if you listened, and I am sorry if you didn't. A few years ago, I'm an outfit called The Maven bought the street, and I stayed on doing what I was doing, and I could have quit, but I chose to keep working. I'm grateful not to have to play for dinner, which extends to all my endeavors. Am I still a suit? I wear one. I like it. That's the television for you. A job that I think you should look as nice as possible. Something my father and my mother before that taught was very important. I can't make apologies for that. I have now devoted more than half my life trying to make people who don't have a lot of money try to get wealthy. I am not out there selling you stocks and bonds. I am taking 1% of your money often just to do nothing with it. I gave up running a hedge fund 20 years ago after a 24% record after all fees. The S&P did 8% during that period. I think that performance and my time at Goldman Sachs can be used to help people who are not headed to Goldman and could not be in my hedge fund. I still love ideas when I go to Wall Street Bets, which I do regularly. I do not see a lot of new ideas like I try to find. I see castigation of me and Purell way, although sometimes it's pretty darn funny. Oh man, it just keeps on going. Oh, okay, almost done. Although it's sometimes pretty darn funny. And I see the obsession with GameStop and the desire to put the heat on the hedge funds. That I am not even siding with. I am not offering how to bust a short or how to buy out of money calls and then gun the common. I am actually, that's literally my plan. Look at this. Look at this. He knows. I'm telling you, people, I am right. This is the evidence. This is the evidence. You need to YOLO everything that I just told you. He says, and I see the obsession with GameStop and the desire to put the hurt heat on the hedge funds that I am not even siding with. He said he's not on the hedge fund side, right? Now he says, I am not offering you how to bust a short or how to buy out of the money calls and then gun the common. That's what I told you. You buy the deep out of the money calls. When it hits that 200%, you make a bloody fortune in this extrinsic value. And then he says, what does he say? He says, buy out of the money calls and then gun the common. That does not mean exercise your out of the money calls. It means when your out of the money calls get in the money, close them out, and then come in and buy a bunch of common stock through regular E-Trade platform. He's telling you how to do it. I'm telling you how to do it. He's just confirming that what I'm saying is totally legit. Holy cow. Nice. Trade like my June play. That's cool. Alright, I am actually offering legitimate ways for Cohen to reinvent GameStop. For that reason, and perhaps that, I believe some might need more capital than GameStop has. I am somehow not on board. Well, here's where the rubber hits the road. I don't want to be on board of anyone, not Wall Street Bets, not Reddit, not hedge funds. Well, here's where the rubber hits the road. I don't want to be on board of anyone, not any, and have a desire to be taught, whether it be on my TV shows or investing club or my articles and real money. I don't think any unbiased person, which is who I'm trying to appeal to, would want it any other way. Do I wish the critics who have flocked to Twitter were nicer? I really don't give a damn. I like to attack some because I am sick of the viciousness coupled with the ignorance, but what you might not realize is that it takes me an hour a day just to block all the people who attack me in vicious and often juvenile ways that are at times threatening and at times downright libelous and criminal. Why do I put up with them? Always the same. I have wanted to help since answering the machine, despite the do opposite of whatever Cramer says. I know you would have been wiped out years ago if you had taken the other side of my recommendations at Goldman or at my hedge fund or my show, where I invented and supported FANG and then added an A and believed in M. Has my trust always performed well? I can't do most of the things I recommend because of my rules. Which is why I turned into a club. And yes, I have buried you most of the time there too. I always invite people to bet against me. That's what conviction is all about. By this time, I know that I don't have many Wall Street bettors with me, if they were ever with me at all, but I have those who have supported me for years and years who I play for. Not a network, not a website, not an online harsh site group that's made a lot of money for a few. Am I paid to do what I do? Yes, I am a professional and professionals get paid. Do I give a lot of it away? It's all documented. Am I deeply flawed? Never said otherwise. Do I deserve the opprobrium? Deserves has got nothing to do with it. I agree with that. Like we all deserve good and bad, probably. Do I get up every morning trying to figure out new ways and thoughts about how to make you money every day of the week ever since 1979? And my question to the critics: how about you? All right, Jim Cramer, I'm the critic, and I'm doing the same, but I'm doing it better than you, and I'm about to critique you right now. So I just read that giant freaking article of yours, so I don't want to hear that I didn't give you no freaking chance. That was massive, and there's a lot of typos in there too, so I don't judge you for that because I write all the typos. I'm the worst writer ever. But, alright, like, you're the one that's saying you expect standards, or your dad taught you standards. Like, I mean, my dad taught me how to work hard, but that don't mean I gotta, like, dress up pretty for everybody. Alright, my issue with this is that he ends it saying, like, does he wake up every day of the week trying to make sure that he makes the people as much money as possible? But then just a couple paragraphs before that, he says, what does he say? He says, I don't want to be on board with anyone, not Wall Street Bets, not Reddit, not the hedge funds. But then he says he wakes up every day trying to make you money, which is The same thing as like Reddit is the people. The people are Reddit. Like you can't have one without the other. So are you trying to make me money or are you not trying to make me money? And are you on my side or are you on the hedge fund side? Or are you on neither? And if you're on neither, then don't be telling me you're trying to make me money. You hear what I'm saying, guys? Like he's saying because he's in a trust with his money and he makes a flat rate now, and because he doesn't trade no more, that he's got no skin in the game, and so his is just personal advice of what he would be doing if he was allowed to have skin in the game. And it's like, okay, but none of that's true because you got insider information and you had to sign a contract saying that you wouldn't talk about GameStop or AMC because they could literally collapse the whole system. And so you have to try to make everything else sound really hyped so you can try to steal volume out of there and convince people that they're all dead ducks or dead cats or whatever you want to call them. And when you do that, you actively, by action, not by words, show that you are working for the hedge funds. Show that you are not working for the people, because right now the most money to make is in GME and AMC, whether we're talking about stocks or options. But now when we talk about options, it sounds like you know what I know about options, and rather than tell people so that they can make money like you claim you want to do, you sit here and write a story about how you're going to sit on the sideline and do nothing. Like if they made you sign a contract, if they came to you and they said, "Hey, I'm gonna tell you something. GameStop's about to go to $1 million." Oh, I told you, it's insider trading now. If you say anything about it or if you do anything, then you go to jail. If the CIA like traps them into something like that, I quit my freaking job at CNBC. Like I'm gone. Like ain't nobody ever gonna hold something over my head and tell me I gotta do something. Like I go to war every time. Like just put a bullet in my head every time. I don't want to hear it. I'm not doing anything you want me to do ever. Oh, man. That was fun. That was a long article. Holy cow.